This is the American Conference on ESPN. And we welcome you to the BB&T Arena in Northern Kentucky, where tonight the undefeated Cincinnati Bearcats get set to host the Alabama State Hornets. And good evening, everybody. Alongside Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Jordan Burnfield. Glad to have you along this evening. Brooke, the Bearcats coming off a successful week last week before the Thanksgiving holiday. They won the Cayman Islands Classic, and Gary Clark was the MVP.
Mick Cronin saying Clark was an All-American early. It's been 4 years to have him to get the look in his eye that he has now, which is a dominant player. He's good in every category, Jordan. Now he's better, and he's next level. This guy's going to be going to the NBA.
On the flip side, Alabama State comes into this game 0-6, but they have played all of their games on the road and had done a ton of travel here early on.
6,500 miles to start the season. That's quite the road trip. But you've got a new team, a lot of JUCO players, some new guys. So head coach Lewis Jackson is trying to get some chemistry with this team and challenge them early to help pay off in the SWAC conference later on.
And the student section here in this building a little bit different because Cincinnati not playing in their normal Fifth Third Arena while it's being renovated for $87 million. But the traditions move to Northern Kentucky with the team as we get set to tip off this game. Watch the student section when the Bearcats scored their first point, because there's going to be a little bit of a confetti celebration.
I was watching the Temple LaSalle game last night as part of the Big Five, the Philly Challenge. LaSalle students throw streamers on the floor. They had to stop the game.
You gotta love when the student sections have some creative way of getting the festivities going. And
hey, they get these guys going, you know.
Alabama State on their first possession, a miss on the shot by Ed Jones, and the putback good, and Alabama State is on the board. And now Cincinnati with their first opportunity as those students wait to celebrate. Underneath Gary Clark, and he's fouled, and he will go to the free throw line. So an opportunity here early for an easy celebration. Maybe not as surprising. Or
kind of let the excitement out a little bit with the free throw, but a point's a point. I'm looking at a Bearcat offense this year that at 4 starters right now average double figures, close to 5. Gary Clark is going to step up and be the man this year. Oh, we've got no confetti. We're waiting for a field goal.
Yeah, okay.
But what you're seeing with this Bearcats team is a more patient, a more experienced team. You return your top 3 scorers. And like I said, Gary Clark is a next level player. He's learning how to sustain energy all throughout the game at the highest of levels.
Gary Clark off to an outstanding start this season, leading the team in scoring and rebounding. As you take a look at Alabama State starting 5, they're 0-6 as we mentioned, but they played an incredibly tough schedule in all of their games away from home in Montgomery. This is Gene Davis for the Hornets, trying to set things up on offense with 8 to shoot. And Reginald G lost the basketball, and here comes Evans for Cincinnati. Takes it from Washington and lays it in. And there's your confetti celebration.
I like that one. More punctuated. It was like an exclamation point to put it up there. But this Alabama State team, they're going to be challenged. The first 4 minutes of this game, Lewis Jackson talked about handling the pressure of Cincinnati, and they need to have success. You got to score early against this team just to keep your confidence level there. So with 2 points on the board, at least they can say they've got something early on. And Wyoming had that trouble. Jacob Evans with the rejection. Wyoming didn't have double digits until about 5 minutes left in the first half.
And as the shot clock expires, a nice shot from Ed Jones, and he's another guy that Lewis Jackson said has to score for Alabama State to have success tonight. Back the other way, Kyle Washington the miss, but the second opportunity puts it in.
See Cincinnati's press starting up. They're a team that's going to give it to you 94 feet. Whether it's traps, something you just don't know what to expect with them. They keep you on your toes offensively, trying to guess what defense you're going to come up against, in addition to the tremendous ball pressure the guards put on you.
And now this is Gene Davis for Alabama State, feeding it inside, and the turnaround jumper from Johnson off target. Braden Johnson's miss results in Cincinnati bringing it across with Jennifer. Kyle Washington backing down his defender and lays it in off glass again.
Washington's really been looking more for his shot this season. He's a guy that can certainly battle down with the big guys on the paint, but he loves to step out and face up defenders and hit that short jump shot.
Kyle Washington, the transfer from NC State, preseason second team All-ACC. Last year earned that second team All-AAC honor. And that one knocked out of bounds. 12 seconds to shoot. 3 minutes gone by as you take a look at Lewis Jackson. 13 seasons now as Alabama State's head coach and also a legendary player at the university. So he's been there a long time and really the face of this program. 2,200 career points. He's a legend there. He also got drafted by Golden State back in 1984. It's way before the Splash Brothers. Yeah, in the third round, too, when they used to have 3 rounds, as Gene Davis hits the front end, and back the other way, Jaron Cumberland for Cincinnati.
Good job,
is Jennifer for 3, and a foul coming up. There's Mick Cronin, the head coach of the Bearcats, who has had just an outstanding tenure at Cincinnati. He's already been at Cincinnati for 12 years. Can you believe that?
No, it's gone by very quickly. 30 wins last season. They got to the second round. Mick Cronin has taken the Bearcats to the dance the last 7 years. It's pretty remarkable considering what they have to do to get star players and quality players here and who they compete against in this area, in their league, in the league surrounding Cincinnati. It's pretty incredible what Mick Cronin's been able to do.
He's had a fantastic run and over 300 wins as a coach, 312 to be exact. And a turnover to Cincinnati, and back the other way they come with Justin Jennifer. Puts up the jumper and sinks it.
So defense leads to offense. Cincinnati kind of shows double team. Gary Clark kind of teases his way up, right? And then he drifts back, just like a defensive back, just stealing that pass out of midair, and it leads to offense for the Bearcats.
And a 6-0 run from Cincinnati here early. And now backing down on the post, Ed Jones had it blocked, and then on the second opportunity, they call it a jump ball. And so it'll be Cincinnati basketball when we come back. But the Bearcats up early on Alabama State, playing the D the way they always do.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Angry Orchard Hard Cider, naturally refreshing, and Dr. Scholl's.
10-4, Cincinnati the lead over Alabama State. Just a few minutes gone by here in Northern Kentucky as we welcome you back to the BB&T Arena. Alongside Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Jordan Burnfield. Brooke, we know that Cincinnati basketball's calling card is defense, and they're already showing it here tonight.
So they force their opponents into 16 turnovers a game, and a lot of those are unforced turnovers, simply by the pressure that the Bearcats put on you, right? So let's take a look at this play that just happened. Here's Jennifer not fouling, just getting the pressure, and with the double team from Evans that he just shows, it's enough for Gary Clark to get the footing he needs. He reaches back, gets the steal, and then Justin pays off with a nice jump shot there. And that's exactly what you need to do with your offense if you're Cincinnati. You get that steal, get that turnover, turn it into instant offense. You'll increase your confidence, keep the juices flowing.
Well, you see how good that defense has been. They're allowing opponents under 60 points per game, and so far offensively, they've been outstanding, the Bearcats, through 6 games, averaging just under 89 points per contest.
You know you got a good defense when just the thought of the pressure makes you turn the ball over.
And now the Bearcats trying to see if they can get something going on offense. Evans the miss, but right there is Washington to put it back. He's got 6 early points.
Boy, how good is his timing? Watching the ball come off the rim, I just love the way he's able to get there at the height. The ball comes off that rim, he's got those long arms, that great reach, and he's quick to put the ball back up. See more pressure from the Bearcats, looking to trap in the corner.
Now across the floor, Ed Jones. And underneath, Austin Rogers is one of the sons of assistant coach Steve Rogers and had that one swatted away. Let's see if defense leads to offense again for Cincinnati. Clark underneath, and Cumberland can't get it to go. Some good defense there from Alabama State.
A good block by Brandon Johnson. Talk about the timing. The
Justin
exchange.
Jennifer threw that one away. Near turnover once again.
Let's go back to that Kyle Washington offensive rebound off the miss from Evans. You see that? I mean, just the coordination to catch that ball midair. put your eyes back on the rim and finish the play. It's not only that, but the coordination, the passing between the bigs is better for the Bearcats this season. This is the most unselfish team we've seen from Cincinnati in a while. There's no true star. Guys can come out and score 20 a night, but your strength is in the strength of your numbers. 4 guys in your starting lineup averaging double figures, one right there at 9.
This is Reginald G, and he's driving in on Davis, puts it up, and Kyle Washington got his hand right into the cylinder, and a goaltending violation. Count the basket for Alabama State. I still have to say, though, even though it was a goaltend, that was an incredibly athletic play.
Looked like an alley-oop. He was trying to knock it one way, but it almost looked like that was part of the assist.
One team to the other alley-oop. A rare feat in college basketball. Alabama State with a press, Cincinnati able to beat it. Jaron Cumberland gets around his defender inside, and a tie-up and a foul coming up. As Nasir Brooks had nowhere to go with that one. Terrence LaFleur is called for his first personal.
One of the things Mick Cronin stressed in shoot-around today was the placement of the pass. So Nasir Brooks catches that pass right around the numbers at his chest. Well, he's got terrific length. Give it to him where he can reach up. The guy's 6'11". So why not, Jaron Cumberland, if you drive baseline, give that teardrop pass. Make it easy on your big guys.
So much more offensive depth for this Cincinnati team this year, but Mick Cronin's always going to say that if you D up, then you can be on the floor. And if you're not playing defense, then it doesn't matter what you do offensively.
It really doesn't, because this is a Bearcats team that's been built on defense since the Bob Huggin days. As Gary Clark gets the steal, the footwork to save it. Oh my goodness.
What a feed to Evans for the slam.
That's where Gary Clark, I look at him and I say that's a next level play. Not only are you able to get the steal, you put on the next level speed, you stop on a dime, and then the court awareness to find Evans for the putback.
Reginald G, the leading scorer for Alabama State, guarded tightly by Evans here, drives into the paint, and an offensive foul. Nasir Brooks takes the charge, and Reginald G picks up his first personal foul.
Here's that steal. Gary Clark with the length, charging, getting the ball down, keeping his balance. Great job by Evans to follow the play, and Nasir Brooks to set up outside the charge circle, take the contact.
And you've got to like Alabama State trying some different defenses to slow them down, but Gary Clark will not be denied.
So off the catch, hesitation in and out, then he jumps into the defense and takes contact.
And a traveling violation against Alabama State. And so Lewis Jackson telling his guys to try to keep things nice and relaxed here early on. He said those early few minutes are going to be really important, but Cincinnati has already opened up an 11-point lead.
Yeah, right now Alabama State's on pace for about 35 turnovers tonight. So they've got to get control of this ball very quickly. And it's the unforced turnovers that kill you, Jordan. Those are the ones that kind of demoralize you, right? And then your spirit gets let down. You start making some real mistakes.
Evans in the corner, the miss on the three. Alabama State will bring it across. They've turned the ball over on their last 3 offensive possessions.
Cincinnati's not going to hold up. And they got a hefty schedule coming up, including Xavier, their next game. So this is not a game where you're going to see a lot of the reserves get a ton of playing time. I mean, you're talking about start to finish 100 miles an hour.
And Jacob Evans went 100 miles an hour to the basket, lays it in. And Cincinnati has opened up a 13-point lead here with 12.5 minutes to go in the opening half. But defense leading to offense yet again. And Clark able to feed it back to an open Evans for the flush. It's the 19th annual Big Ten ACC Challenge. Wednesday, we'll have Michigan taking on the 9th-ranked Tar Heels in Chapel Hill at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then it's #1 Duke and Indiana from Assembly Hall. Going to be another great night of hoops on ESPN and the ESPN app. Well, Cincinnati has forced 5 turnovers. They've converted all of them into baskets, 10 points off turnovers, and that's why the 11th ranked Bearcats lead Alabama State by 13 so early.
What they do best, and we expected them to be a good defensive team this year, but Mick Cronin said this might be his deepest roster yet. He's also got great scoring options. Evans, Justin Jennifer can shoot from the outside. You got Clark on the inside, as well as Kyle Washington. Nasir Brooks with length. Jaron Cumberland, a spicy shooter who can put up points in a hurry.
So much depth for this team, and you're seeing it here early on. And this is Jacoby Ross now for Alabama State, who's had a couple of really good games off the bench recently. Scored 20 in the last game for the Hornets against Savannah State off the bench, following a 17-point outing against Mississippi State. And now a foul on Diarra. That's his first. Amadou Diarra just checking into the game. And a near steal again from Evans. Alabama State able to keep. 12 minutes to go here in this opening half.
Even when the Bearcats gamble on defense, they've got such quick help side recovery that they can go out in those lanes and go for steals. If they don't get them, you've got great length. Mamadou Diarra can help you out. And that's the best benefit of having the big guys, because it gives your guards so much confidence to go out for steals.
And the shot clock violation, and Alabama State has not scored in the last 2:38. Cincinnati on a 7-0 run and looking to extend it here. Kane Broome, the transfer from Sacred Heart, into the game. And a guy who's really going to affect the tempo for the Cincinnati team, Brooke.
Kane Broome has terrific quickness and speed on the floor. What's been the challenge for him is to learn how to use it and when, and what types of decisions to make. You see, 6 foot, 160 pounds. He's really a 2-guard in a point guard's body. I mean, he wants to score. That's what he did best at Sacred Heart. He averaged 23 points a game on his way to becoming the 2015 NEC Player of the Year.
Look at that inbound feed. Broome to Diarra, and his first bucket of the night. And Cincinnati is pouring it on offensively here early. But as well as they've played offensively, again, it comes back to the defense, and you're seeing what a difference it makes when you're creating turnovers and putting pressure on an opponent.
It takes away your confidence, and it makes you play with a completely different frame of mind. And now they're playing on their heels versus playing on their toes, trying to go downhill and facing a Bearcat defense that the pressure keeps extending out further and further.
Kane Broome, nice
move.
Into the lane, can't finish. And the rebound comes to Alabama State. Fausto Pichardo into the game for the Hornets. And now LaFleur driving in. A kick to Pichardo for 3, and he got it.
Finally some success for Alabama State since the early going of the game. That's what you got to do, drive and dish. And hey, if you got a half second with an open shot, you got to take it. Get a couple guys that crash the boards and hope that Cincinnati doesn't run on you too much. And that, wow, good footwork there by Pichardo.
Yep, and an offensive foul against Jaron Cumberland. That's his first, following the 2. Thought it was a 3, but turned into a 2. See, yep, foot on the line.
Yep.
So that was the right call, and then nice positioning there.
Yeah, terrific job by the junior. JUCO player, Lewis Jackson. I'm trying to imagine blending guys that have talent and experience, but no chemistry. They don't know each other yet.
And a big thunder dunk from Fausto Pichardo, who scored 4 straight points for Alabama State.
Giving him a heck of a spark off the bench here. Lewis Jackson was looking for something to keep this game alive, and he found it, Pichardo.
And now Williams driving into the paint.
At the hang time from the Brooklyn kid.
Keith Williams, the freshman. And he's had a real good start for Cincinnati. Second freshman in the Cronin era to score in double figures in his first couple of collegiate games. The last one to do that was Sean Kilpatrick, and I think he worked out pretty well for Cincinnati.
I think he was a pretty good player here from what I remember.
And this is a 3-try, and that's good. It's Jacoby Ross, the freshman from New Orleans.
So you can look back at the plays from Fausto Pichardo to ignite this team, and you see their confidence level is way higher than it was a couple minutes ago. They're playing with more energy, being more aggressive, looking to take contact. This time, a block on Pichardo.
Pichardo with his first personal foul, and we now get to see Moore in the game for the first time. And Trevor Moore, the freshman out of Houston, a really interesting prospect for this Cincinnati team. Just a natural shooter, a kid who was a quarterback in high school and started playing basketball more and started to realize that he could be pretty good, and was playing the power forward position, just draining threes in the Houston area when Mick Cronin found this guy and said, why don't you come to Cincinnati and play for us?
Talk about under the radar. Totally missed by some of the bigger schools in his area, including Houston. I think a lot of that had to do with him wanting to pursue football. Mick Cronin watched him play in an AAU game. He knocked down about 5 threes. He tried to keep it very low-key, right? Just saying, all right, let's find out a little more about this guy. Make sure nobody else is really going after him.
As Terrence LaFleur knocks down the jumper, his first basket of the game, the local kid out of Wetumpka, Alabama. And Alabama State starting to play with more pace, like you said. Starting to look a little more confident. One thing you can say, as Broom is off on the three, is that Alabama State's not going to be intimidated by this atmosphere. They play in big-time gyms all the time. And that long three try from right, no good. And Moore comes down with the long rebound. And now Pichardo with the foul.
You talk about their schedule. Now, these are all on the road. You got Mississippi State to open, Iowa, South Dakota State, a very strong mid-major school, Oregon, and Cincinnati. You mentioned the 10 days, 6,500 miles, and a lot of those are going to happen on the bus. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, Lewis Jackson saying that they've got to find ways to get some sleep on that bus.
Good luck, because I'm 5'7", and I couldn't sleep on the bus. I can only imagine what the 6'5", the 6'8" guys have to deal with.
It's a great point. Buses, planes, not really made for tall people to sleep.
Anybody. But they do get sleeper buses, so hopefully they're able to at least get some kind of rest, because they're actually headed back tonight after this game.
Yep, they'll head back down to Alabama, and then their next game, they will take on Jacksonville State on Thursday. And back the other way quickly is Ross ahead of the pack, and they turn it over. That was a little bit too far for Frieden's Dennis, and as he tried to save it, threw it into the first row of seats.
Yeah, accuracy not there. The opportunity was, and a good look by Alabama State to break some of that Cincinnati pressure. You got to convert.
Cincinnati comfortably ahead, an 11-point lead here in the first half of play. BB&T Arena, the home of Northern Kentucky and the home of Cincinnati for one more season, as Gary Clark spins on a defender and puts it in.
And Maurice Wright did everything he could to try to stay with Gary Clark. He's moving his feet, bodying up, checking him, but Clark just too much. It'll be a foul.
Yep.
Reach in.
Gary Clark with his first personal. So you're saying Maurice did everything right until the end of that play.
But don't. I got it. Now, he's trying to stay active, but Clark, he's got that strength. And he's anticipating very well where the defender's going to go so he can turn off the opposite hip, get to the bucket.
Ross being worked on by Clark. They get it underneath, and in traffic, the layup from Dennis, no good. Clark inside, and a nice feed, and a finish from Nasir Brooks.
Well executed high-low play, nice and easy. The pass was there. You see where Gary Clark led Brooks, kept it high. All he had to do was turn and shoot.
LaFleur for three. And Terrence LaFleur with 5 points off the bench here in the first half. LaFleur spent part of the time last year as the point guard for this team, and because there's so many transfers, he's one of the guys that was a member of this team a year ago and has more familiarity with Lewis Jackson's system.
He can certainly give this team offense at times. He get the tie up here to Wright Brooks.
Yep, the tie up and a foul coming up against Wright, but Lewis Jackson, it's a family affair at Alabama State. We'll tell you why. It's all about the family matters next. 30-18, number 11 Cincinnati the lead on Alabama State. 7:11 to go here in this first half. And you take a look at Lewis Jackson, the head coach of Alabama State. He has been the head coach for 13 years now, but he's not the only one that is connected to this proud program. There's his wife, Frida, on the right. She is the women's basketball coach at Alabama State. And their daughter, Bianca Jackson, she's a freshman guard at South Carolina, the reigning national champion. So it's all in the family at Alabama State. And that's not all. Steve Rogers, their assistant coach, he's got two sons playing for this team, Austin and his son Steve as well. Steve, the older one, he's a senior, and Austin is a sophomore. So kind of cool to see how these families have made multiple generations of Alabama State participants.
So at the Jackson dinner table, it's not even the discussion about basketball. Maybe it's about who is the best. I mean, Dad's a state legend, 2,200 career points, but Bianca's on a national championship team this year, maybe going for a second ring.
Traveling violation, wave off the basket there. Yeah, that would be unbelievable to see.
Mom runs the ladies team, so it's an incredible legacy that the Jacksons have in Alabama, and able to keep that there. I think that's great.
I wonder if Bianca's sitting at dinner one night, both parents talking about basketball. She's going, Mom, Dad, can we talk about anything else?
No, that's not happening.
Probably not, I agree. And now a foul coming up away from the ball against Alabama State. It'll go against Freeden's Dennis. First personal against the transfer. And Maurice Wright back into the game for Alabama State. So Gary Clark will go back to the free throw line. And Clark, the senior, has had just an outstanding career at Cincinnati. And the first one is good. Next point for Gary Clark will tie him for 41st all time in scoring at Cincinnati. And there it is.
Even his shot looks crispier. The inbound, just an unforced turnover again. Bearcats can't capitalize on it. Jennifer so quick.
Justin Jennifer, a guy, Brooke, that hadn't gotten as much playing time as maybe he hoped for early on in his career at Cincinnati, but has been playing so well and with so much confidence lately, he has forced his way into the lineup. Mick Cronin loves it.
As a sophomore, he had a 4.3 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. So Wright knocks down the jump shot. So it's incredible the control he has over the basketball and what he can do with the offense. And now the Bearcats turning it over just about 8 times a game. So game management, unselfish offense, balance, and that's what is going to put them in the top 10.
Now Clark missing from deep. Back the other way comes Wright, racing ahead. Slow it down. Jacoby Ross, the freshman out of New Orleans. They try to get it inside on this stifling Cincinnati defense, but the shot clock down to 5. Ross tried to feed underneath and threw it away.
Alabama State looking for a way to penetrate Cincinnati's length around the perimeter too much. Got Gary Clark at 6'8" with a big wingspan. Trying to weave around him to get the inside. It's not working. Alabama State going to a 2-3 zone.
Alabama State 11 first half turnovers now, and Cincinnati will try to capitalize here. Clark finding Cumberland on the wing for 3, and it rims out. Now here's Iwushu for Alabama State. Toby Iwushu, the sophomore out of Chicago. And Ross driving in. Wright thought about the 3. And now just 10 to shoot for the Hornets. And Cumberland taps it out of bounds. Hands and passing lanes, just all the little things that Cincinnati does defensively. It's impressive to watch.
Starts with the footwork. You got good base, Just see how well they move laterally, but they also communicate off the switch. Anything that comes up with the screen, there's a lot of talking from the Bearcats.
Second chance opportunity, and Alabama State able to cash in there with Braden Johnson. He's got 4 points in the game now. Cincinnati has not scored in the last couple of minutes, but they changed that right there. Nasir Brooks, 6 points in the game so far. Cincinnati puts a little pressure on, but Alabama State able to race ahead. Nice feed underneath to Johnson, who throws it down, and a foul. The 19th annual Big Ten ACC Challenge rolls on Thursday from the Breslin Center in East Lansing when the 13th ranked Fighting Irish take on the 2nd ranked Spartans. This one is on ESPN and streaming live on the app.
Well, how good do the Irish look right now? And Bonzie Colson, All-American, and is going to be all everything. It'd be a great matchup to see Bonzie Colson go up against Gary Clark, wouldn't it?
It would be for sure, and Johnson's dunk wiped out by a turnover right before. So now the other way, Evans knocks down the three. We talked about those turnovers being so costly against a team like Cincinnati, and right there they capitalize yet again with Evans. And now LaFleur working against Evans, who comes up to him on the three-point line defensively. LaFleur over Clark, puts it in.
It's a tough shot. LaFleur, we talked about how tough he's been. Came off the bench, scored 13 against South Dakota State. He had 17 in another game. You're scraping for offense right now. You've got to be confident in taking those shots. And I give them credit. The Hornets are trying to be creative, making something happen off the dribble. They're continuing to drive and dish, look for opportunities. Still down 14, but they're going to make it work one way or another, even if the dunks don't count. Hey, it still looked good. Braden Johnson, the dunk there. And the answer for three from Jacob Evans.
28 teams, 14 matchups,
all kinds of stars. That's absolutely beautiful.
One challenge. The Big Ten ACC Challenge.
(38-24), Cincinnati the lead on Alabama State. Under 4 minutes to go here in this opening half of play, and Alabama State now here in Cincinnati, but they have been traveling and traveling and traveling some more. 6,517 miles traveled before their first home game, and that won't be until December 12th when they take on Tennessee State, and then Winthrop. Actually, they'll have back-to-back home games. But that is a normal issue for teams in the SWAC. They are often teams that will travel all over the country in their non-conference schedule and barely play any home games before they hit conference play.
And it might be a nice check and a nice payoff to the school and the program, but at the same time, you're losing every single game, right? So how do you keep your confidence up? How do you keep the spirit of the team up? And we talked to Coach Jackson about that, and he said, listen, we're not playing the score, we're playing the possession. So against the big teams that they've already faced, right? Mississippi State, Iowa, Oregon, and now Cincinnati, you have to look at winning each possession, because ultimately he's doing this to challenge the team to put them in a better position once SWAC season starts, right? Because in conference play, there's a team that plays like Cincinnati. There's a team that plays like Iowa. There's a team that runs like Oregon. So all these teams that are on the schedule now is to prepare them for the same types of teams they'll see in conference play, but now at a higher level.
And a lot of teams in the SWAC too, Brooke, will use this kind of thing as a recruiting tool to say, hey, you're going to get to play in some of the biggest buildings in the country against some of the best teams with great atmospheres like this one. Of course, this season, Bearcats playing here at BB&T Arena as Fifth Third Arena on campus is renovated. That's Brandon Johnson, who knocks down the jumper. He's got 6.
Came off his first double-double of his career against Savannah State. Points, 11 boards. A couple more options for Alabama State scoring-wise, starting to emerge as the season goes on.
Now Kane Broom, a nice feed to the corner and a 3-try. That goes down for Trevor Moore.
So Trevor Moore, we haven't even spent a whole lot of time talking about. Mick Cronin says that he could be the best shooter he's ever recruited. This is coming from a guy who played football, was looking to be a quarterback somewhere, and who has never received instruction on how to shoot a basketball. And it's a perfect form. It is.
It's so natural looking that you would never know. And that shot from Ross off target, and the rebound to Washington. Broom, nice feed underneath to Clark. The kick out, and Moore again, but cannot hit it. And the rebound comes to Iwushu, who races across.
How about that bullet of a pass from Gary Clark out to the corner, and then the hustle. Trevor Moore able to pick that ball up.
Evans
Leads to another 3. Surprise, surprise.
Jacob Evans, 12 first half points. And Cincinnati now up 20 with 1:20 to go in the opening half. And that's Iwushu flying into the scorers table.
Starts with the play of active hands of both Trevor Moore and Jacob Evans. Moore gives the second effort. And a good pickup there by Broom, and eventually gets the ball to Jacob Evans for his 3. And you said it, 12 points here in the first half, 2 of 3 from behind the line. A couple of assists. Maybe the most incredible stat I'm seeing from the Bearcats. Just 2 turnovers this half.
You think about the way that this first half has gone too, Brooke. Alabama State is shooting 50%. They have been able to execute offensively when they keep their possession, but because of how many times they've turned it over, leading to Cincinnati points, that's where the difference in the score is.
It's a great point, Jordan, because as you start conference play, you can look back to moments like this and say, hey guys, we were able to score against the defense of Cincinnati when we didn't turn it over. So what do you work on when you get back to Alabama State? A lot of game management, ball management, handling pressure. Another big point of emphasis for Lewis Jackson was keeping his guys out of foul trouble. Already 10 team fouls here in the first half.
5 to shoot now for Alabama State. LaFleur against 3 defenders, the miss. And the rebound to Trayvon Scott. Just about 30 seconds to go in the half. A 3 from Moore. That's off target. Nice rebound there from Keith Williams, the freshman, skying up there. Now with the shot clock off, Kane Broom looks back at his coach, Mick Cronin. And they will set up one final play here in the first half with a 20-point lead. Trying to add to a 6-0 run. 5 seconds now, 3 and a travel. Trayvon Scott took a couple of steps. Alabama State will have 3.6 seconds for one final shot in the half. LaFleur with 2-1. It goes up and almost got it to go, but hits the side of the rim. And it ends the half with Cincinnati up 20. The 11th ranked Bearcats cruising here through 20 minutes of play. Our halftime show coming up after a quick timeout. Chris Cotter and Seth Greenberg and Jay Williams will get you caught up on all things college basketball from last night and looking ahead. Cincinnati, a 20-point lead here at halftime in Northern Kentucky. And we welcome you back to Northern Kentucky. You're inside the BB&T Arena. And if you're looking at the court and you're going, why does it say NKU Norse? Well, it is the home of the Northern Kentucky Norse. But of course, Cincinnati is not able to play in their home arena, Fifth Third Arena, this season. They are having it renovated right now, an $87 million renovation. So it should be great when it comes back next year. And all the pictures, all the stuff that we've seen. She's Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Jordan Burnfield. You know, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic place to play. So one season they come over here, it's about 25 minutes drive, then they can go right back to playing in their own place. But looking ahead, Brooke, the Big Ten ACC Challenge is coming up, and there's going to be some fantastic matchups.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the premier matchups in college basketball, and these are 2 power conferences that you just love to watch. And I mean, talk about some of the matchups. You got Louisville and Purdue. Wow. I mean, dynamic offenses versus Purdue's defense and the big guys, Isaac Haas, and then Michigan and North Carolina. I think that's going to be a more challenging game, even though you got Michigan team that's kind of struggling a bit against the North Carolina team that's strong, of course. Boy, Duke just keeps getting better. I mean, what Marvin Bagley has been able to do, 18, 34, and 30 in the tournament there. And then, of course, Notre Dame and Michigan State. Well, I really like Notre Dame. They beat Wichita State to win the Maui Jim Invitational. We talked about Bonzie Colson, and Michigan State is a young sophomore squad full of talent. Nick Ward, Miles Bridges coming back from the ankle injury. Those are going to be the best games.
Looking forward to watching those. When we come back, we'll give you some stats and get you ready for the second half in Kentucky.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dr. Scholl.
You are watching the American Conference on ESPN. And we welcome you back inside the BB&T Arena. It is 46-26 Cincinnati over Alabama State as we get set for the second half. Brooke, the biggest difference in the first half for me was points off of turnovers. Cincinnati led 22-2 in that category. Their defense was stifling.
They got 22 points off turnovers, 22 points in the paint, and they were able to just be active in the lanes. This is a steal we showed you coming out of a timeout, or out of a commercial rather, just to replay it, show you how good the anticipation is from Gary Clark and the rest of the team. But you see Jacob Evans on that play got his hands on the one side and then sprints to finish the play on the other end.
Let's take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Zales. And Cincinnati shot the ball well, but so did Alabama State in that first half. But again, points off turnovers, just a killer for the Hornets, and the points in the paint for Cincinnati. That is something that Mick Cronin certainly wants to see playing inside out.
Well, there's 3 turnovers, and then you look at how well they passed the ball. 10 assists on 16 field goals. That's a great percentage.
And the first possession of the second half for Alabama State off the miss. They'll have a second chance opportunity. This is Reginald G with the jumper, can't get it to go, and it pinballs around, and Washington saves it right to Alabama State, and the jumper good from Ed Jones. So 3 opportunities there for the Hornets on the first possession.
Pretty rare occasion to get an offensive rebound. Just their 17th of the game, but they're actually out-rebounding Cincinnati right now by 5. You mentioned, Jordan, a lot of opportunities that haven't really gone down because of turnovers. Still shooting 13 for 28 in this game at 46%.
Justin Jennifer now, 5 to shoot, putting it up in traffic, and that one knocked away.
I think he was caught between wanting to shoot and get the alley-oop to Kyle Washington. Another great play from Jacob Evans. He has been all over the place defensively. I love how active he's been.
Gary Clark runs the floor as well as any big man. Saw that there as well, and now he's got it. Beating Washington, turns around on Johnson and puts it in. Kyle Washington, 8 points now in the game. Cincinnati, 20-point advantage here early in the second half, trying to get to 7-0. They did not get to 7-0 last year. In 15-16, they were able to. And it would be the 5th 7-0 start in the Mick Cronin era if they get it done tonight. And Jones blocked by Clark.
Denied. Gary Clark with the help side coming all the way over from the other side of the lane to pin it, LeBron style.
Now Washington to face up Johnson, and a foul coming up.
Nice bounce pass, but Gary Clark with the timing, sending away any kind of offensive opportunity. Ed Jones with the rejection.
Gary Clark tonight, 10 points and 5 rebounds. And with those 5 rebounds, it's tied Danny Fortson for 13th all-time in Cincinnati. Of course, had a great career at UC from 95 to 97. Now Alabama State back the other way with LaFleur, and that one's knocked away by Evans. Jennifer on the other end, and he's fouled.
Jennifer took some tough contact getting to the ground, but Evans, What beautiful timing on the block. He's done this a couple times tonight.
Second personal, second team foul.
Now that's after being recovered. He's recovered from getting beat, flips his footwork around, and closes out for the block. That was awesome.
Such an active defensive team, and now Jennifer hits the first free throw. Justin Jennifer averaging a career best 20 minutes per game over the first 6. And key reserve in his freshman year, now into the starting lineup. And he has been very valuable to Cincinnati, and Mick Cronin really excited about what he's going to be able to bring.
Well, he can trust him. Trust him handling the ball, running your offense, playing solid defense. He's in good position. He's not going to make mistakes. And then offensively, the confidence has grown so much. He's looking to take his shot this year. That wasn't him last year.
And now Davis the miss on the shot. Washington rips down the rebound.
Just like his management, his change of pace, the speed.
I believe they're going to get a foul away from the ball. The official at the scorer's table trying to figure things out.
Well, we may have had a...
The shot clock didn't start, I think.
Yep, I was going to say we could have a stoppage of clock. We had that just for a brief moment in the first half. Go back to review it.
Lewis Jackson and Alabama State 1 for 8 from the field to start this second half. Cincinnati trying to get to 7-0. Up 50-28. 17:37 to go here in this second half. Cincinnati's been one of the best home teams in the country, and even though they're not playing in their own arena this year, still pretty dominant here near campus. Yep, stopped right at 29. There's a 28 that usually comes after that.
Well, it looked like it was just held up for a couple of seconds. So.
Yeah.
Not something that has to be really, changed up a whole lot, especially considering you're up 50-28. Mick Cronin is not going to stop coaching. He was on his guys and shoot around. He wants to execute plays down the stretch.
Take a look now at the AP Top 10, the new poll released today, and Michigan State an impressive win over North Carolina last night at the PK 80, holding the Tar Heels to their worst field goal percentage in school history in that championship game.
Up 21 at one point.
Yeah. You were looking at the score the whole time and you're like, is that really possible?
Yeah, exactly.
And Cincinnati now 11th in the country in this AP poll, and the Bearcats started with that number 12 ranking, and they're going to just keep moving up the way that they've been playing here early on. It was their highest preseason rank since the 99-2000 season. And they look awfully dominant here early.
Yep. In this game, of course, a warm-up for the Crosstown Classic against 21st ranked Xavier. Always a good game. Xavier coming off that 102-86 big-time loss to Arizona State. So the Musketeers will be charged up and ready to go.
Well, it's great that they get these teams together and they play these matchups. You know, the fans around here love watching those games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up here, so Crosstown Classic was a must-see TV appointment, or if you could get tickets somehow, get into the arena, it was worth going.
Jennifer missing on the three, the rebound to Gary Clark. Gary spinning on his defender. The kick to the corner, Evans. And another offensive rebound, and Gary Clark showing what he can do.
There's just no answer. I mean, what he brings to the table is his court vision, his awareness. He's as good a passer as he is a scorer. Wyoming found out all about Gary Clark when he scored 13 of the team's first 15 points.
He's just so smooth operating under the basket. Here's Cumberland ahead of the pack, and a goaltending call.
I was expecting a little more flair, maybe a dunk. Give me some style points, Jaron. Come on.
I know, I was thinking the dunk was coming too. But, you know, Jaron just wanted to lay it in.
He wanted to be classy.
Yes.
I get it. I like the approach.
And now Evans called for a foul.
Jacob Evans III, his first.
Jacob Evans III with his first personal in the game. The junior was a preseason second-team All-AAC selection, and he was a Cayman Island All-Tournament team player. And another huge block.
Whoa! Send it.
Gary Clark. I mean, this is what Cincinnati can do. This is just the epitome of what they are as a team defensively.
I know if I'm Alabama State, I'm thinking twice before I take one dribble close to Gary Clark. Look at that. I mean, he took off on the logo.
Bye. How many rows deep did that go?
I think that went 3 rows deep. I'm going to go 3.
That's pretty impressive. And over the Alabama State bench for good measure.
And a collective ooh from the crowd, the loyal crowd who has continued to stay despite the big lead.
Yes.
Give Bearcats fans some credit.
And now a turnover. Evans the other way against Davis, who stripped it free, but then Evans gets it back. And now a steal. Nice play by LaFleur. Ahead of the pack. And that one's knocked away. And finally, Johnson lays it in. It's a block party here in Northern Kentucky.
Cool series of events. A lot of athletic moves by both teams there. And Evans once again just showing how athletic he is. But let's take another look at this incredible block from Gary Clark. Well, first we'll go with the pass actually out to the corner for Evans. And Clark with the putback. Maybe that block another time. We've got to take another look at that.
Tuesday night, we'll have a special edition of the NBA on ESPN when the Nuggets take on the Jazz in Salt Lake City. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, also streaming on the ESPN app. Gary Clark tonight, 12 points. He's got 7 boards. He's got 3 assists, 3 blocked shots, 2 steals, 6 of 6 from the field. Or 6 of 6 from the free throw line, I should say. 3 of 5 from the field, all in a good day's work. And he has dominated for this Cincinnati basketball team, which has a healthy lead over Alabama State here in the second half.
There will be games this year where Gary Clark will put up 24, 30 points at a time, maybe 15 rebounds. So he's not going to give you these incredibly eye-popping stats, but he is a stat sheet stuffer. Say that fast 3 times. And he's everywhere. He's blocking shots, he's getting steals, he's active. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's out there playing like a point guard. 6'8", 225 pounds, the senior.
Did he call glass on that? Jacoby Ross from the wing, off the top of the backboard and in.
That's not normal.
Now Cumberland feeding underneath, and Clark cannot get it to go. Brooks the rebound. That's swatted by Johnson, but a foul against Alabama State.
Really like the curl. Jaron Cumberland coming off that screen. Came off tight around the defense and then found Gary Clark. Clark unable to finish, but Cincinnati back at the line. Something, again, Mick Cronin really wants to emphasize for his guys this year. Get to the rim. It's great that you can play defense. We know we're a good 3-point shooting team. We can attack, get some mid-range shots. But guys, we got to get to the rim. We got to get to the free throw line. That's what's going to win us ball games.
Sear Brooks at the free throw line here. And splits the pair of free throws. Alabama State hasn't taken any free throws tonight. Cincinnati 14 of 18 at the line.
Tells you again, Cincinnati's going to defend the heck out of you, and they're not going to foul you.
It's a lethal combination, to be sure.
It's a long night.
6 to shoot. G knocks down the jumper from the baseline. Reginald G came into this game averaging just under 15 points per game. Was the first Division I signee out of his high school, Edgewood. And that's Williams spinning into the paint, and off the miss, he puts it back. Keith Williams with 4 points off the bench tonight. So many ways this Cincinnati team can beat you, and it's going to be interesting to see, Brooke, coming up when they take on Xavier in that Crosstown Classic, and then Florida, Mississippi State, and UCLA. So even though they won that Cayman Islands Challenge, and that was certainly an impressive feat, now you're really going to see how good Cincinnati can be against some of the top competition after that shot clock violation.
Yeah, no question about that. And even looking to the next game against Xavier, we talked to Mick Cronin about the depth of this team and asking him, is this the deepest roster that you've ever had? He said, maybe. And the reason he said that is because he's still learning. In a tight game with 2 minutes left, who are the guys that he can have in the game? If he can have 5, or can he have 7 or 8? What are his options? So that is, to him, what makes up a deep team. Who you can trust at the critical moments in the game.
Moore driving in on Iwushu, and a foul coming up. Toby Iwushu picking up the personal, the transfer out of Lewis and Clark College. Lewis Jackson, 179 wins at Alabama State. And he's taken his team to the NCAA tournament a couple of times, a couple of SWAC tourney titles, but right now trying to reshape this roster the last couple of seasons. And another foul against the Hornets. Ed Jones has picked up 3. Gary Clark goes back to the free throw line. Gary Clark, you think about the long line of great players at Cincinnati, and Gary Clark is certainly among those. And with every passing point and every passing rebound, he keeps moving up the charts all time in Cincinnati basketball history. We were in their practice gym earlier today, and they've got pictures up of some of the great players of all time. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a Gary Clark picture a few years down the road.
Right. I mean, you mentioned Danny Fortson. He's passed tonight with his scoring, and he'll take a seat right now. Trey Scott in for him, but when you think about Danny Fortson, Kenyon Martin, and actually Clark reminds me a bit of a leaner, more versatile Danny Fortson. Because Fortson was a guy who could play around the post, he could step back a bit, he had some nice attributes as far as passing and rebounding, but I mean, Gary Clark, I don't know if there's been a more complete player to come through this university. And really think about, how did he get passed up? How does he leave North Carolina without an offer from NC State, an offer from North Carolina? I mean, are you kidding me? He's the all-time leader in points, rebounds, and blocks at Clayton High School. I just don't understand, but hey, Mick Cronin is like, I don't care. He's here now. It's been a great get for me.
We'll take him.
Yeah.
And now Nasir Brooks picking up the foul, but Gary Clark started the night 42nd all-time in scoring, but now he's 39th. He's passed 3 guys just in this game, and if he scores 4 more points, he'll be in 38th, and that's just going to keep happening. 13 minutes to go here in Northern Kentucky as Ross puts up the jumper and the rebound to Trevor Moore. Feed underneath Williams, he gets it to go on the foul. Keith Williams with a beautiful shot there.
He pulled this move off so quickly. He was calling for an alley-oop, and when he didn't get it, he catches the ball off the dribble, and it is so explosive to the basket. And I loved how he was able to take contact and keep his eyes up at the rim. There's a lot of activity going on under there. For him to keep that kind of concentration, it was a great play.
3-point play. And Cincinnati controlling things easily tonight. A near steal again. G able to keep it. Every guy gets challenged by this defense. And in the corner, it's G to knock down the jumper. Reginald G now with 6 tonight. Kane Broom, drive and kick. Nice fade underneath, and Brooks.
Two tough decisions by Keith Williams in traffic as he's taking contact. First we saw him finish under the play, under the basket. The next, an assist. What do we got now?
And Williams is fouled by Ross. Wanted to prevent the highlight reel play right there.
Yeah, hard foul by Ross. Good job by the officials. Separating the players right after the play. Keith Williams, tough-nosed guy we mentioned out of Brooklyn. Really giving a lot to Mick Cronin in his freshman year.
Cincinnati cruising here in Northern Kentucky, 64-38. Well, Cincinnati coming off a championship at the Cayman Island Classic, and Gary Clark was the MVP of that tournament. Had a double-double in the first game against Buffalo, 24 and 14, then scored 17 points and 6 rebounds in the championship against Wyoming, which Cincinnati easily won. And now the Bearcats carrying that momentum into tonight, where they are easily handling Alabama State here at home. And Cincinnati, I think the way that it worked out for them from a scheduling perspective is kind of nice, because they play that tournament, they come home on Thanksgiving, they get the weekend to practice but also get a little R&R. They get this game tonight right before this big stretch of 4 games in which they'll play some really top-flight opponents. So the way things worked out for Mick Cronin's club, I think, are pretty good, pretty advantageous.
Well, you got to prepare for Xavier, which is the crosstown shootout. My apologies, Cincinnati family. I did grow up here. It's like, you should know this. But, you know, then you've got a week to prepare for Florida, and that's another very solid team. Great guard, and Kayvon Allen that the Bearcats will have to stop.
That should be a real good game to watch. Now Alabama State across the floor here. And the floor almost had that taken away by Williams.
Bearcats still with that defense, that high pressure. Yep. You love the guard pressure if you're Mick Cronin, because that makes it so difficult to get the pass into the wing, then into the post. So your entry pass is problematic if you're Alabama State. Cincinnati just relentless tonight with the pressure.
And for a guy like Keith Williams, too, he's got to play that good defense and convince Mick Cronin that he deserves more minutes.
Right, and that's how you get PT with Cronin. Play some defense. It's a nice, pretty pull-up jumper. Kane Broom.
Kane Broom with his first basket tonight. A little bit surprising. Came into this game averaging 10 points, 5th on the team in scoring. This guy was a scoring machine at Sacred Heart, averaging 23 a game. And I think that as he continues to get comfortable in this system with Cincinnati, he's going to be a real X factor.
And it's nice that he gets to go up against Justin Jennifer every day. Someone who doesn't turn the ball over at all, and that's something that Broom has been working on. He's been playing really well against Wyoming. He was 4 of 8 from the floor, hit both his free throws. Nice save there from Keith Williams. Nice
feed to Cumberland for 3. Can't get the roll, and underneath to clean it up is Trayvon Scott.
I'm glad Reginald G got out of the way there. At the very end, took some contact, but he could have landed very awkwardly.
You also don't want Trayvon Scott coming down on you. 6'8", 220-pound sophomore from Darien, Georgia. Cincinnati on a 14-3 run right now. They lead it 69-38. LaFleur, rebound to Scott. Kane Broom was the Northeast Conference Player of the Year in 15-16 and actually earned honorable mention honors from the AP for All-American. But now you look at Kane Broom, and doesn't have to be the top option, doesn't even have to be one of the top 3 options offensively. So it's really a good situation for him that he's going to be able to ease his way into this.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, you go to a bigger school with a chance to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament and have an impact on playing time. So for him, you're right, it is perfect. There's no pressure. He doesn't have to be the man here to score, but he's allowed to take shots. He's going to have the green light at times.
Kane Broom, interesting kid too. He will not eat cheese. You heard this story.
Yeah, explain this story, of course.
So Kane Broom, I guess, had a bad experience with some Alfredo when he was a kid. Has sworn off cheese the rest of his life. So when he goes into a restaurant, if he thinks that they might have used utensils that had cheese on them, he will ask them to switch them out so that he can ensure no cheese on anything. And I guess if you really don't like cheese, you're going to go to whatever lengths you can.
Right, because even the smell of it will bring you right back to that moment.
Right. So, like, if he goes through a fast food drive-through, they put a sliced cheese on the burger, we're going back. Can't have it. But he was a real exciting player to watch a couple of years ago, and I know they're real happy to have him here in Cincinnati now. This is Pichardo going right to the rack.
He's been impressive tonight. I thought he did a great job coming off the bench, giving the Hornets some offense when they had none, despite a 31-point lead from Cincinnati. The Hornets still playing strong.
Cincinnati cruising tonight. 11 of the 12 players that have hit the court have scored for the Bearcats with this 31-point lead. And you take a look at the upcoming schedule. We mentioned the crosstown shootout against Xavier on Saturday. Then Florida coming to town. Mississippi State, they go play UCLA in Westwood. And then they're going to have Cleveland State, Memphis, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. There's some good teams even at the end of that stretch there. And Cincinnati, you know, you think about the fact that this team is 6-0, trying to move to 7-0. They're one of just 4 schools in the country that are not able to play in their home gym this season. And Mick Cronin knew he was going to have a good team, but given that they're not playing at home this year, you probably were going to wonder if that might have some kind of effect on them, and at this point it hasn't. The only other schools in the country not playing in their home gym this year due to arena renovations: Houston, Northwestern, and Villanova.
And right, it hasn't really affected them much at all. I mean, you certainly hope that you have as big a turnout. You have a double dribble, that's going to be a turnover from Terrence LaFleur. But to have the students come out and rep the games, to have the attendance, and that's going to be one of the biggest challenges, I think, for the Bearcats this season is trying to keep that energy level up, because the team they're worth watching. They're worth coming to these games to see.
And now jump ball is called, but possession will stay with Cincinnati. Eliel Sosame is in the game and trying to get some position underneath against the bigs for Alabama State.
You know, Bearcats fans are incredibly excited about the renovations, and we've seen some of the drawings and renderings that are already there, so you can see it start to come together, and that place is going to feel like a brand new, fresh arena to walk into next season.
31-point Cincinnati lead. They're cruising here at home. And we welcome you back here to Northern Kentucky. 11th ranked Cincinnati 71, Alabama State 40. And you take a look at the court, and of course it does not have the familiar Cincinnati logo, and that's because they're playing here at NKU while Fifth Third Arena gets a big rehab. That's what's going on right now, an $87 million rehab to this arena. And here's what it's going to look like when they finish this thing. It's going to be gorgeous. You can actually take a look at this video on Cincinnati's website if you so choose. It's like 3 or 4 minutes of it, but the views in here, and I know that they're going to want to see crowds like that filling up the arena in red and black. But a bunch of suites are going in, and it's just going to be a nice new rendition of Fifth Third Arena, where it should be an exciting place to watch college basketball and watch the Bearcats, who have been so good at home over the years.
I think it's going to be a much more intimate environment. You feel like the fans are really close to the court, which is, you know, always good. We love it, and we love when the student section's behind us.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to happen in Fifth Third Arena, but certainly a lot more real experience, I think, for the fans to be closer to the players, and again, just to freshen things up. Shot clock running down for Alabama State.
Down to 3. This is Ross, and a nice job by Johnson to follow and put it in. Brandon Johnson, 10 points tonight.
Think about, again, the recruiting aspect. Cincinnati competing against right in their backyard. Kentucky, Ohio State, Indiana. I mean, even Notre Dame is close by. So you think about trying to compete against those teams, those arenas, those dollars. The least you can do is get an arena that competes on a national level.
Without a doubt. Certainly another recruiting tool for Mick Cronin, who's done just a great job of bringing in great athletes to this school. That's Jennifer for 3, no. So Seme able to grab the rebound for a fresh shot clock. And now Williams hoists from deep, and the rebound to G. Nice to see Brandon Johnson with a good night tonight. 10 points for Alabama State. He's from Garfield, Ohio, so friends and family in the crowd tonight to watch him. And there's a drive by Ross and a foul coming up against Cincinnati. Trevor Moore picking up the personal. He's got 2 in this game tonight, but always good too for Alabama State when they can play somewhere where one of their guys has some friends that can come out and see them play.
Yeah, no doubt. Brandon Johnson comes from a big family. He's got 7 brothers and sisters. Nice to have family in attendance checking out a good performance. As we mentioned, his game against Savannah State, off a double-double. And then against Iowa, a really complete game. And a career high, 13 points, 7 boards, along with 4 blocks.
And Wushu can't get that one to go. Ahead of the pack is Moore against LaFleur, and that's going to be a goaltending violation against Iwushu. Tried to come in and get the block, but count the basket.
Good look ahead, too, from Justin Jennifer. More court vision. Got guys like Moore who can run the floor, speed, finish. Really like what Justin Jennifer has done in his career here. Shooting 47% this year, 50% from behind the arc. 18 assists coming into this game, 18 assists to just 4 turnovers. Just 1 assist tonight.
Under 6 minutes left, Cincinnati trying to move to 7-0 on the season. Pichardo right to the lane and makes a beautiful layup off glass. Fausto Pichardo, 8 points tonight. And he's made all 4 of his field goal attempts, something to build on certainly for Alabama State. That'll stay with Cincinnati, 15 to shoot. Even though Cincinnati not able to play in their home arena, this is a really nice facility here, BB&T Arena, home of the Northern Kentucky Norse. If you can't play at home, this is a pretty good plan B.
Not bad. It's only about 20 minutes away from campus.
And a 3 for Jennifer from the wing. Justin Jennifer, 7 tonight. First time he's been able to connect from deep on 4 tries. Ross in on Scott. And he stepped on the line. Valiant effort at the save there. Throw it off the opponent. It was on the line and a turnover by Alabama State.
And no letdown from the Cincinnati defense. You see, Here we are, 4.5 minutes left. A huge lead for the Bearcats. Not taking their foot off the brake. I mean, they love pressure. They want to apply it. 94 feet for 40 minutes a game. That's what Mick Cronin says is going to get them to the next level.
Moore for 3. And that's that natural stroke from Trevor Moore that Mick Cronin was telling us about earlier today. A new high with 11 points for the freshman.
I have a feeling Trevor Moore might be the next star here. I mean, the shooting capabilities he has, natural. So you can only imagine when he puts real time in the gym, more repetition, and he stayed after practice for a good, 15 minutes, 20 minutes today. He came out early.
And that's Jones from deep. So Ed Jones getting back into the scoring act, third on Alabama State in scoring this season. And it brings us to a timeout on the floor. Cincinnati and Alabama State dialing from long distance. Justin Jennifer from deep. And then it's Moore with the swish.
"28 teams, 14 matchups,
All kinds of stars.
That's absolutely beautiful.
one challenge. The Big Ten ACC Challenge."
Tonight at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, after Monday Night Football on ESPN. Join Scott Van Pelt for SportsCenter. He'll have Dabo Sweeney join the show on the eve of the latest rankings announcement, with the Tigers poised to make another college football playoff run. Plus, a breakdown of the AFC playoff race and a Monday staple, bad beats from across the sports world. SportsCenter after Texans-Ravens on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Clemson just had that big win over South Carolina, right?
Yeah, this weekend just turned college football upside down again.
So I heard Clemson was playing South Carolina's theme song in their locker room.
Wow.
And that's kind of like the ultimate revenge, right? Like, we're going to take your theme song. All the phones were out. Guys were jumping. Snapchat was popping. Oh, yeah. They were going to rub it in.
See, that's how they celebrate now. Not to sound old, but that's what they do. They Snapchat the celebration.
Yeah, we need something a little old, but it looks funny with everybody out with their phones. I mean, it's like they're having their own individual party.
I don't think we're old. Are we old?
No.
Yeah.
You are. Just kidding, buddy.
I deserved it after bringing it up. 3 minutes to go here in this second half. 79-47. Cincinnati on its way to 7-0 for the second time in 3 years. And LaFleur's three wiped away. A foul coming up. Justin Jennifer picking up the foul. Nick Cronin looks on. You know that he is one of those coaches that some coaches could say, well, it's a big lead, I can relax a little bit. He will not relax for possession. And what a play right there by Mamadou Diarra, showing the wingspan off. And back the other way, it will not result in points. It's Trayvon Scott, could not finish. Diarra again. And now Broom. But Diarra there to try to tip it back, but could not finish. Man, when you get a guy with that kind of wingspan, and you're seeing all the reasons why coaches clamor for players that are built like Mamadou Diarra. 6'9", 215.
Has played just 5 minutes tonight. I mean, that's what we're talking about with the depth of Cincinnati. You can go off the bench. Nice answer. That's a big-time move from Ed Jones to score on Diarra. But to go 8-9 guys into your bench and say, okay, I've got a 6'9" terrific shot blocker who may only be averaging 4 points and 3 rebounds a game, but he's got great potential, and you can trust him defensively to come off the bench and add value.
Yeah, and steals the inbound.
Yes.
Just by being a long-armed guy.
I have not seen that a whole lot.
And now Ross, that's too strong, rebounded by Scott. Minute and a half to go. And the Cincinnati Bearcats, the 11th ranked team in the nation, cruising towards victory number 7. And now Trayvon Scott will go to the line. It's the 19th annual Big Ten ACC Challenge. Wednesday, we've got Michigan taking on number 9 Tar Heels in Chapel Hill at 7:30 Eastern. Then it's number 1 Duke in Indiana from Assembly Hall. It's going to be a great night of college hoops on ESPN and the ESPN app. Wushu is called for the foul, and now Scott connects on the free throw. Used to go by Trey, now going by Trayvon. See some of the great matchups in this Big Ten ACC Challenge, and boy, I think that Notre Dame-Michigan State game is appointment viewing right there.
That's my favorite matchup of all of them. I mean, dynamic offense, what Notre Dame's doing, and Michigan State, their squad, got a bunch of All-Americans going up against each other. Bonzie Colson, maybe one of my favorite players in college basketball this season.
No, you think about the Duke game against Indiana, and I know that Indiana may not be quite where they've been in the previous years, but when you have a chance to watch Marvin Bagley, I think you take that chance to watch him.
And we've seen Grayson Allen, I feel like for 8 years now in college basketball. We see some of the walk-ons check in for Cincinnati. And I had a chance to just sit in the arena and watch at the United Center, them going against Michigan State a few weeks ago. And it is incredible to watch Grayson Allen work without the basketball, because I think he finished that game with 34 points. And I just scratched in my head, how does this guy continue to get buckets despite knowing the defense is going to be all over him? And I think it's because he moves well without the basketball. He reads 2 and 3 plays ahead.
Now they got the walk-ons into the game, and you know that everybody wants to see them score. And the one that hasn't yet is John Coes. This is a 3 try from Bart. Jackson Bart drains the 3, and you know the student section, look at that, they love it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Coes needs to get a shot here. Bearcats can get another possession in this game, but what a big 3.
Jackson Bart was able to connect with the 3-pointer against Richmond last week. And this is a kid that has dealt with a lot of adversity in recent years, and it's just wonderful to see him get these opportunities. There's another block by Diarra. And as the clock winds down, 0.4 left. And Cincinnati set to move to 7-0 on the season as they win this thing 83-51 over Alabama State. A convincing and dominating win for Mick Cronin and the Bearcats. And this team looks awfully good through the first 7 this season.
Well, they really do, forcing 20 turnovers tonight. Alabama State ran into a buzzsaw, part of it being Gary Clark, who's continuing his efforts on an All-American campaign. And it is 23 minutes tonight, 14 points, but 8 of 8 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds. Another complete game for Mr. Clark.
Well, Cincinnati jumped out to a big lead early in this game, something that Alabama State certainly did not want to see. But, you know, Cincinnati is just such a tenacious defensive team that if you don't have the ability to score with everyone on the floor and you can't move the ball around, they just take you out of your game.
It's not
they
just
were able
one
to do
look,
that tonight.
Right? It's man-to-man, it's press, it's 94 feet. It's a lot of pressure, and it doesn't stop. The starters go out, the reserves come in, and they play just as hard because they want more playing time. Walk-ons got in tonight. Good night for the Bearcats.
Yeah, Jackson Bart at the very end of the game, hitting that 3. Started in high school for Bartlesville High School, and after 1 game at Oral Roberts, he'd broken his leg. That's where he was originally in school. He was out for the year. Then he had to deal with ulcers on his esophagus and gallstones that required surgery, had to leave school to recover, so didn't even play basketball for a year. His mother's also had partial loss of her leg. His cousin and his grandfather both passed away. So this guy has dealt with so much stuff, and so everyone in the Cincinnati community just loves him. He's come back, hits the 3 against Richmond, and then buries this 3 tonight in front of the home crowd. And those are the kind of stories you just love to see in college basketball.
And the guys, you know, the starters, Justin Jennifer over there, cheering as loudly as anybody, and that's what you want to see. Those are the moments in a long season that make it worth it.
And you see as the Cincinnati band and the cheerleaders sing the alma mater. You take a look at the upcoming games in the American Conference on ESPN, and some good ones coming up. That USC-SMU game on December 2nd will certainly be one to watch, as well as Wichita State Baylor. Sign me up for that one.
Sign me up on the sidelines. I'll be there, buddy.
Will you?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Can't wait.
I have to watch.
Must-watch TV for sure. Can't wait to just see those two teams match up. In Wichita State in the American for the first time this season. They're not a surprise anymore. Nobody can say Wichita State, we didn't see them coming. But that'll be a great game with them against Baylor.
Absolutely. Well, a good one tonight for Cincinnati. They win it 83-51, and for the 7th time in the Mick Cronin era, they start this season 7-0. Once again, the final score here in Northern Kentucky, the Cincinnati Bearcats 83 and the Alabama State Hornets 51. Bearcats 7-0 and Alabama State now 0-7. Time to send it off to the studio as Chris Cotter, Seth Greenberg, and Jay Williams have it back there. Thanks so much for watching tonight.